That the legal issues overhanging Hunter Biden will continue to shadow President Biden and his re-election campaign for weeks, possibly months, and maybe right into the heat of the 2024 election. Let's speak to the US political analyst Calvin Dark. Calvin, good to have you on the programme. What went wrong in the process of this hearing?
Well, I think that's a really good question, because what a lot of folks are wondering is the details of this plea agreement have been very public for the last few weeks. And for the attorneys to get there and not have a clear idea from both sides what this actually means actually feeds into the alleged suspicions that Republicans have put out there that this is somehow a sweetheart deal or there's something nefarious going on. Whether or not that's true, this really did make it look like something's kind of fishy.
Yeah, well, we just heard the statement from the White House that this is a private matter for Hunter Biden. But the intriguing part of this is that the lawyer, Abby Lowell, who is handling Mr. Biden's congressional inquiries, he was in the courtroom and at one point came out of the audience in the courtroom to take part in the proceedings, which surely is going to raise questions about the president's connection to this case.
Yes, especially given that this is we're coming up on an election year, because politically speaking, not on the legal side, the Republicans need something to counter the narrative around Donald Trump and his legal worries. And when you think about the fact that you have Biden who has to walk this careful line between three things, one being a caring father who cares for his son, two being a president who wants to make sure it does not appear or in any way is pressure from him on the Justice Department, and then three, a president who wants to get reelected and is doing a campaign. All of those things have to work together, and it's a very, very delicate act.
Paul Wall, clearly we know what the Republicans want, given that we're just talking about President Trump's legal problems going into this election. This is all in connection with the job that Hunter Biden had at Burisma, the Ukrainian energy agency. He probably wouldn't have got that job and the hundreds of thousands that he was paid had he not been Biden's son. The question is whether politically it causes problems for his father. What do you think?
Well, I think there's quite a long history, obviously, in American politics of unruly siblings or relatives. John Quincy Adams, his brother Charles, was described as a madman possessed by the devil. Didn't do him much harm. Ulysses S. Grant's brother Orville got mixed up in a kickback scheme. You've got Bill Clinton's brother Roger, who was civil service code name was Headache. So even Jimmy Carter's brother Billy, liaisons with the Libyan government. So there's a long line of presidential relatives who've got them into sort of sticky trouble. This is slightly different in the fact that the opposition has really tried to weaponize it. And I think if there's any suspicion that Joe Biden's representatives were in court today, I think that's quite dangerous for him, because up until now, he's always said, I'm completely separate from everything, whether it's to do with Trump or his son. And I think that's just a whiff of suspicion. He doesn't need the president.
Ron, you'll have your ear to the ground among Republicans in Washington. What do they make of what happened yesterday? Do you think that the plea deal as was, which would have kept him out of prison, has gone away? And is there real legal jeopardy now for Hunter Biden?
So 3 questions that you pose here, Christian. One, it was a political bombshell in Washington, D.C. yesterday. No one expected this. Everyone expected that the prosecution and the defense team for Hunter Biden had worked something out. It would be a routine procedure, and it wasn't. Number 2, what does this mean moving forward? Yes, I think he's in significant legal jeopardy. They were going to plead to 2 misdemeanors, which are relatively minor crimes here in the States. Now there's a felony gun charge that's hanging out against Hunter Biden. You could look at any sort of issues. And 3, I think the judge was miffed. And I think the judge was miffed in Delaware when the 2 sides couldn't seem to get their act together. And they've got 30 days to come together and say, okay, can we put together a new plea agreement? But I think this is going to drag out longer than 30 days. And I think politically speaking, this is going to hurt the former president. It has nothing to do with Donald Trump. So many Democrats are saying, well, but Donald Trump. No, this is not Donald Trump. This is Hunter Biden and his dad potentially being in legal peril.
Yeah, except, Calvin, there's another issue with regards to Hunter Biden, and you talked about the president being a family man, but there's been a lot of focus, particularly the New York Times of late, about this fourth child that Hunter Biden has, which he is paying child support to. He's paying child support to the mother, London Roberts, and yet the president only talks about 6 grandchildren. He doesn't recognise that there is another grandchild, and I wonder if that undermines this family man image that he has cultivated.
I don't think it does, because I think this has a similarity with the political issues. They're not about Joe Biden, and these are not decisions that Joe Biden made. Think about it. Hunter has his own personal life, and with regards to this child, Joe Biden can't go any further than his son. We wouldn't expect him to go further than his son, not because he's president, but just because he's a father. So he has to follow his son's lead in how he handles his personal life. But once again, these are not reflections on Joe Biden, because he is not the one who made these decisions.
Calvin Dott, good to have you on the programme tonight. Thank you very much.